Have you ever stopped and asked yourself why? Why do you wake up at the same time every morning, drag yourself to work, sit in front of a screen, obey orders, answer emails, and measure your worth by the numbers on a paycheck? Why do you trade your time, the most finite and precious resource you have, for a system that never gives back what it takes? Who convinced you that this is the only way to exist?
Look around you. The streets are filled with people moving like clockwork, their eyes vacant, their purpose dictated by schedules and obligations they never truly chose. You see them in subways, in offices, in endless meetings discussing things they don't care about. They wake up tired. They go to bed exhausted. They call it productivity. They call it success. But is it life? Georges Bataille never accepted this illusion. He was a philosopher of excess, of transgression, of radical freedom. He saw life as something beyond function, beyond productivity, beyond the soulless repetition of tasks dictated by societal norms. To Bataille, true existence lay in moments of rupture, in pushing beyond limits, in embracing experiences that cannot be contained within the framework of capitalism and labor. He saw work as a necessary evil, but one that should never define human existence. And yet, here we are, imprisoned by a mindset that glorifies the grind, that turns suffering into a virtue, that convinces us we are nothing if we are not constantly producing. But let me ask you something: who benefits from this mindset? Who profits from your exhaustion? Because it certainly isn't you. Bataille spoke of a concept so radical, so unsettling, that even today it remains largely ignored: sovereignty. True sovereignty, he argued, is not power over others, but power over oneself. It is the ability to exist beyond usefulness, to reclaim one's life from the machinery of labor and expectation. Sovereignty is choosing joy over efficiency, experience over stability, life over mere survival. And this is where the hard truth begins. Because real freedom is terrifying. It demands that you break the chains you've spent your whole life polishing. It demands that you unlearn the belief that your worth is tied to what you produce. It forces you to confront the void, the space where, without your job, without your titles, without the illusion of security, you must ask yourself, who am I really? Most people run from this question. They prefer the comfort of routine, of structure, of knowing exactly what comes next. But comfort is not freedom. Comfort is a cage disguised as safety. And the longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to leave. Bataille understood something that most people refuse to accept. Life is not about working to survive. Life is about excess, about going beyond, about breaking the rules that keep you small. To truly live, you must be willing to step outside the boundaries set for you. Not just by society, but by your own fears. So I ask you again, who told you that this is life? Who convinced you that you are here to work 9 to 9, to be a cog in a machine, to exist only for the sake of production? And more importantly, are you willing to question it? This is not just philosophy. This is your life, and it's time to reclaim it. Take a moment and think about your daily routine. The alarm clock rings, and before you even open your eyes, your first instinct is to check your phone. Emails, notifications, reminders. Your mind is already pulled into the machinery of productivity. You shower, dress, commute to work, sit through meetings, answer messages, complete tasks, repeat. Maybe you get a short break. Maybe you glance at the clock, counting the hours until you can leave. But when the day is over, you're too drained to do anything meaningful with your free time. You watch a show, scroll through social media, fall asleep, and then you do it all again. Does this sound like freedom to you? Georges Bataille would tell you that what you call life is nothing more than an illusion, a cleverly constructed system designed to keep you working, consuming, and obeying. You were bought before you even had the chance to realize it. Society sold you a dream of stability and success, wrapped in the language of duty and ambition, but the truth is much darker. You are a product, the myth of hard work. You have been told your entire life that hard work leads to success, that if you just put in enough effort, climb the corporate ladder, sacrifice your time, you will be rewarded. But look around you. How many people do you know who have spent decades in the same job, working endlessly, yet they are still struggling? How many people wake up one day realizing they gave their best years to a system that never cared about them? The harsh truth is that the myth of hard work is a carefully designed lie. The system does not reward effort, it rewards compliance. Bataille understood this. He saw how societies condition people to view labor as their defining purpose. To be productive is to be valuable. To rest is to be lazy. To resist is to be irresponsible. But who benefits from this belief? Certainly not you. Your time is not yours. The most valuable thing you possess is not your skills, not your money, not even your knowledge. It is your time, and yet you give it away so freely. You sell hours of your life in exchange for a paycheck that barely sustains you. You convince yourself that this is normal, that this is what being an adult means. But is it? Think about it. If you spend 40, 50, even 60 hours a week working, then factor in commuting, sleeping, and basic chores, how much of your time actually belongs to you? How many moments are truly yours, not dictated by deadlines, expectations, and responsibilities? Now ask yourself, if time is the most precious thing I have, why do I trade it so cheaply? Breaking the chains of productivity. Bataille argued that true existence lies beyond productivity, that life should not be measured by efficiency, but by intensity. He spoke of excess, not in the sense of mere indulgence, but in the radical rejection of the idea that human worth is tied to labor. What would happen if you stopped believing that your purpose is to work? What if you chose to live in a way that prioritized experience over obligation? Of course, the system does not want you to think this way. From childhood, you were conditioned to believe that success means being useful, that idleness is failure, that financial security should be your ultimate goal. But financial security at what cost? What is the point of having wealth if you never have the time to enjoy it? What is the point of climbing a corporate ladder if, by the time you reach the top, you have sacrificed every moment of real freedom? Are you ready to take back your life? This is where the real challenge begins. Because once you start questioning these things, you can never unsee them. The moment you realize you were bought, you face a choice. Do you continue playing the game, pretending you don't see the bars of your cage? Or do you dare to break free? But breaking free is terrifying. It means letting go of the comfort of routines, of predictability, of the identity you built around your work. It means confronting the reality that life, true life, is unpredictable, chaotic, and often uncomfortable. And most people are not willing to take that risk. Bataille's philosophy does not offer easy answers. He does not tell you that quitting your job will instantly make you free. What he tells you is something far more radical. Freedom is not given to you. It is something you must take. And that starts by realizing one simple truth. You were not born to work from 9 to 9. You were not put on this earth to spend your days behind a desk, responding to emails, meeting deadlines, living for weekends. You are here to experience, to create, to break boundaries, to live beyond function. So I ask you again, now that you see the truth, what will you do with it? What is your greatest fear? Losing control? Falling into disorder? Stepping outside the boundaries that have kept you safe your entire life? Most people live in constant fear of chaos. They cling to structure, to rules, to the known, because stepping beyond it feels like stepping into the abyss. The system has trained you to believe that order is good and disorder is dangerous. That predictability is comfort and unpredictability is failure. But what if everything you've been taught about chaos is a lie? What if Bataille was right when he said that true freedom, true ecstasy, and true life can only be found when we embrace destruction? You have been told that losing control is weakness, that it leads to failure, to madness, to ruin. You have been taught to fear the wildness inside you, the part of you that longs to break free from the repetition of daily life, from the polite conversations, from the suffocating stability of routine. But ask yourself this, why is losing control so terrifying? Because the moment you do, you no longer fit into the system. You become unpredictable. You no longer exist for the sole purpose of working, consuming, and following the rules. And the system does not know what to do with people who refuse to play by its logic. Bataille understood this deeply. He saw that civilization itself is built on suppression, on the containment of human excess, of desire, of rage, of passion. From childhood, you were taught to be polite, to be responsible, to be useful. You were taught to fear the things that cannot be measured, scheduled, or controlled. But at what cost? Society tells you that chaos is destruction, but Bataille reveals a deeper truth. Chaos is creation. Every revolution, every transformation, every act of true change begins with a breakdown of the old. Destruction is not the end. It is the necessary space before rebirth. Think about nature. A forest fire may seem like devastation, but it clears the way for new growth. The same is true for your life. If you are afraid of chaos, you are afraid of growth. If you are afraid of losing control, you are afraid of living beyond the limits imposed on you. You are surrounded by invisible walls, rules that tell you how to behave, how to think, how to live. Some of these rules are necessary to keep society functioning. but many of them exist only to keep you contained. Ask yourself, who benefits from these rules? Who benefits when you work every day without questioning why? Who benefits when you suppress your real desires in order to be respectable? Who benefits when you live in fear of taking risks? Certainly not you. Bataille spoke of transgression, the act of crossing boundaries, of violating the limits imposed by society. He believed that true existence can only be found in moments when we break free from the roles assigned to us. In moments of laughter, of eroticism, of art, of rebellion, of destruction. But transgression is terrifying, isn't it? Because the moment you break the rules, you are no longer playing the game. You are no longer a predictable part of the system. You step into the unknown, and the unknown is where real life begins. People cling to stability as if it will protect them from suffering. They tell themselves that if they just keep working, keep following the rules, keep saving money, keep avoiding risk, then they will be safe. But the truth? There is no safety. Everything you build your life around is temporary. Your job, your reputation, your savings, your carefully planned future, none of it is guaranteed. You could lose it all tomorrow. The world is not stable, no matter how much we pretend it is. So why live your life in fear of instability, when instability is the only real truth? Bataille teaches us that instead of fearing chaos, we must embrace it. Instead of clinging to control, we must surrender to the wild, uncontainable force of life itself. Because it is only in these moments, when we let go, when we step beyond fear, when we break free from the false stability of routine, that we truly experience what it means to be alive. Are you brave enough to let go? This is the moment of decision. Will you continue holding on to control, even as it suffocates you? Will you keep playing by the rules, even as they keep you small? Will you keep pretending that stability will save you, even as it drains the life from your soul? Or will you take the risk? Will you step into the unknown? Will you break the rules that no longer serve you? Will you destroy what needs to be destroyed so that something new can finally be born? Bataille does not offer comfort. He does not promise that chaos will be easy. But he tells you this: the only way to truly live is to let go. Take a moment and ask yourself, how much of your life is dictated by money? How many of your decisions, where you live, what you do, how much time you spend working, are based on the pursuit of financial security? How often do you tell yourself, if only I had more money, I'd finally be free? But here's the radical truth: money does not buy freedom. It buys another version of servitude. And yet, you've been conditioned to believe otherwise. The system has trained you to see money as the ultimate goal, the ultimate measure of success. Work hard, earn more, climb higher, invest wisely. This is the script you were handed. But Bataille exposes this for what it truly is: a golden cage, one that keeps you running in circles, always chasing, never arriving. You believe that money is the solution to your problems. You believe that if you just earn enough, save enough, accumulate enough, you will finally escape the grind. But have you ever met someone who is truly satisfied with what they have? Have you ever seen a person who has said, "That's enough, I don't need more"? The cruel reality is that the system is designed to make you feel like you never have enough. Your desires are constantly manipulated, expanded, and distorted. The house you own is not big enough. The salary you earn is not competitive enough. The lifestyle you live is not luxurious enough. Every step forward only moves the goalpost further away. Bataille understood this better than most. He saw that the true function of money was not to grant freedom, but to keep you bound to a cycle of work, consumption, and obedience. You do not work for yourself. You work for the system, for the constant expansion of capital, for a machine that will never be satisfied with what you give it. If you were to strip away money, if tomorrow the entire concept of financial worth disappeared, who would you be? Would you still know how to live? Would you still know what you love, what brings you joy, what fills you with passion? Or has your entire existence been reduced to survival? The tragedy of modern life is that most people do not live, they endure. They trade their hours for wages, their creativity for efficiency, their freedom for security. But security at what cost? You fear instability. You fear the unknown. You fear not having enough. But in that fear, you become a prisoner to something far worse, a life that is not truly yours. Bataille offers a different perspective, one that shatters the illusions you've been taught. He speaks of excess, sacrifice, and the rejection of economic rationality. He argues that true freedom is found not in accumulating wealth, but in embracing the irrationality of existence. Life is not a balance sheet. It is not a transaction. It is not an investment strategy. It is raw, chaotic, and meant to be experienced beyond mere survival. But stepping outside this mindset is terrifying. It means rejecting the belief that your worth is tied to your productivity. It means questioning the idea that money is the ultimate goal. It means understanding that financial success does not equal a meaningful life. Ask yourself, if you had unlimited money, what would you do? Would you still wake up at the same time, go to the same job, perform the same tasks? Or would you finally allow yourself to live? Now, ask yourself an even harder question. Why are you waiting for money to give you permission? The path to real freedom. Real freedom does not come from wealth. It comes from sovereignty, the ability to live on your own terms, without fear, without dependency, without the need for external validation. And sovereignty does not require millions in the bank. It requires a shift in mindset. It requires rejecting the idea that your time must always be exchanged for money. It requires finding ways to exist outside the logic of endless work and consumption. Some people find sovereignty in art, in nature, in radical acts of generosity, in moments of complete surrender to experience. Some find it in choosing a slower life, a simpler existence, one that values time over wealth. What matters is this: you must decide what truly matters to you. Will you escape the golden cage? The system will always try to convince you that you need more, that you must work harder, that your life will begin once you reach a certain level of success. But Bataile's philosophy presents you with a different choice. Step outside the illusion. Recognize that money is a tool, not a god. Refuse to let it dictate the terms of your existence. Live now, not later, because later never comes. So I ask you, will you keep running in circles, chasing a freedom that never arrives? Or will you break free, step into the unknown, and finally start living? What is it that you truly desire? Not what society tells you to want. Not what your job, your family, your culture have conditioned you to seek. But the raw, untamed, burning desires that exist in the deepest parts of you. The ones you bury, suppress, or pretend do not exist because they make you uncomfortable. Bataille understood something that most people refuse to acknowledge. The most profound moments of existence lie in transgression, in stepping beyond what is permitted, in breaking the rules that define not just our actions, but our very identity. We have been taught to see transgression as dangerous, as immoral, as something that threatens stability. But what if stability is the true prison? What if the greatest experiences of life exist only when we dare to go beyond the limits imposed on us? Why do you fear your own desires? From the moment you were born, you were taught to obey, to sit still, to be polite, to control yourself. The rules began small. Don't touch that, don't say this, don't behave like that. But as you grew, so did the cage around you. Society taught you what was acceptable and what was not, what was respectable, what was proper, and most importantly, what you should never do. But desire does not care for rules. It exists outside of them, and so you learn to fear it, to suppress it, to convince yourself that what you truly want is wrong, that it is selfish, that it is dangerous. And yet, the more you suppress, the more it calls to you. Bataile's philosophy is not about blind indulgence or reckless hedonism. It is about the necessity of stepping beyond the boundaries imposed on you. Because it is in those moments, when you defy expectation, when you embrace the forbidden, when you dare to live outside of what is permitted, that you taste something real. Something that no paycheck, no title, no ordinary routine can ever offer you: ecstasy. The power of transgression. We live in a world obsessed with control. Every aspect of your life, your thoughts, your desires, your ambitions, is monitored, regulated, made to fit within an acceptable framework. Even your so-called freedom is an illusion. Carefully curated options that give the impression of choice while keeping you safely within the boundaries of what is socially acceptable. But what happens when you refuse to play along? Transgression is not simply about breaking rules for the sake of rebellion. It is about reclaiming your autonomy. It is about stepping outside the roles assigned to you and experiencing life on your own terms. Bataille argued that the moments we remember most, the moments that make us feel truly alive, are the ones that defy expectation. The moments of wild laughter, of reckless love, of pushing the body beyond its limits, of surrendering to something greater than yourself. And yet, most people live their entire lives without ever truly experiencing this, because they are too afraid. Fear and freedom. Fear is the great enforcer of conformity. Fear of judgment. Fear of failure. Fear of the unknown. And so you stay within the lines. You do what is expected. You convince yourself that this is what it means to be a responsible adult. But at what cost? You trade your passions for stability. You trade your authenticity for acceptance. You trade the wild, chaotic, beautiful possibilities of existence for a life that is predictable and safe, but utterly forgettable. Bataille would tell you that true freedom begins where fear ends, that you will never experience the intensity of existence until you step beyond the comfort of what is permitted. That life is not meant to be measured in productivity, in routine, in safe and logical decisions, but in moments of unfiltered, uncontainable experience. What are you willing to risk? This is the real question. Most people will never take the risk. They will stay within the boundaries, convincing themselves that they are happy, that they are satisfied, that they do not need anything more. But you, if you are still reading this, if you feel something stirring in you, if there is a part of you that knows there must be more, you have a choice to make. Are you willing to risk comfort for the possibility of something greater? Are you willing to step beyond what you have been told is acceptable? Are you willing to face the uncertainty, the fear, the raw and unpredictable nature of life outside the safety of control? Because if you are, then you will find what so few ever do, a life that is truly yours. Bataille does not offer easy answers. He does not tell you what path to take. He simply shows you the truth, that the limits imposed on you are not real, that the life you think you must live is just one of many possibilities, and that beyond the borders of what is allowed, there is something waiting for you, but only if you are brave enough to take it. And now we arrive at the final question, the only question that truly matters. What will you do with this knowledge? For too long, you have been told how to live. You have been conditioned to believe in stability, in control, in following the rules set before you. You have been made to fear chaos, to resist transgression, to see desire as something that must be managed rather than embraced. But deep inside, you know the truth. You were not born for this. You were not meant to live a life confined by routine, by obligation, by the quiet suffocation of predictability. Bataille's philosophy is not a comfortable one. It does not promise you happiness in the conventional sense. It does not offer easy solutions or a roadmap to success. Instead, it rips away the illusions that have kept you complacent. It forces you to confront the abyss, the terrifying, exhilarating vastness of existence beyond the safe walls of ordinary life. And now that you have seen it, you cannot unsee it. Most people will choose to go back. They will dismiss these ideas as extreme, irrational, unrealistic. They will tell themselves that the risks are too great, that chaos is too dangerous, that transgression is too reckless. They will convince themselves that there is virtue in discipline, in playing by the rules, in working hard and being responsible. And they will return to their routines, their obligations, their carefully managed lives. They will sit in their cages and call it freedom. And maybe that is enough for them. Maybe they will find comfort in the familiarity of their world. Maybe they will tell themselves that this is what it means to be an adult, to be sensible, to be a functioning member of society. But you? Can you go back to pretending that this is all there is? Make no mistake, stepping beyond the boundaries of the system has consequences. To reject the logic of endless work, of controlled desire, of economic rationality, is to invite discomfort. It is to embrace uncertainty. It is to live without the false securities that keep others asleep. But what is the alternative? A life spent waiting for permission, waiting for the right time, waiting for a future that never arrives? A life where every day is just another page in the same predictable script. A life that is safe, but devoid of the intensity, the ecstasy, the raw experience of what it means to truly exist. Bataille did not ask you to destroy yourself. He did not advocate for chaos for the sake of chaos. He asked you to question everything, to strip away the illusions, to ask yourself with brutal honesty, what do I really want? And once you find the answer, to have the courage to pursue it, no matter the cost. So, where do you go from here? There is no single answer, no step-by-step guide, no formula for how to break free. But here is what you must understand. It begins with a choice to stop waiting, a choice to stop conforming, a choice to stop living according to the expectations of others, and to begin carving out your own path, no matter how uncertain, no matter how terrifying, no matter how unconventional it may seem. It may begin with something small, saying no when you are expected to say yes, following a passion that offers no financial reward, rejecting an obligation that serves no purpose but to keep you trapped. It may begin with embracing the unknown, with letting go of the need for constant control, with allowing yourself to feel desire, to seek pleasure, to chase experience beyond what is considered reasonable. And as you take these steps, something will begin to happen. The walls around you will start to crack. The weight of expectation will start to lift, and you will begin to see what was always there, just beyond your reach, a life that is your own. Will you dare to take it? This is not a call to recklessness. It is not an invitation to destroy for the sake of destruction. It is a challenge, a demand, a reminder that your time is limited, that every moment spent conforming is a moment wasted, that every day spent waiting is a day lost. Bataile's philosophy does not ask you to reject responsibility. It asks you to reject the false responsibilities that have been placed upon you. It does not ask you to abandon life. It asks you to embrace it in its most unfiltered, uncontainable form. So, I ask you one final time, will you keep pretending that this is enough? Or will you step beyond the illusion, into the chaos, into the unknown, into the only life that is truly worth living?